to it. We're going to do some stuff with system corruption. That's what we're going to start off with. And then we're going to go and test some other stuff and see if we can make them better. So let's get to it. Let's get out of here first. I was just here playing around with this. I'm just going to set up this stream because it takes a minute, unfortunately. If my thing was a little faster, we wouldn't have such an issue, but unfortunately I have a Ryzen 5. I thought it was a 7, it's Ryzen 5. It's not the greatest. It was free, so I can't complain. I can't really complain if I got something for free. Right? I mean, that would just be weird if you just did that. Okay, so let me just get this all set up. I think this thumbnail is great. I like it. Just something I threw together. Alright, so here. Oops, let's get that out of there. Okay, so I just need to move this out of my way. Whoops. And I need to take this. Put it here. Okay. Something new I want to try. So I'm not gonna go all out. Whoops, let me just read this. Anyways, let's see, what am I missing here? 1, 2, 3. Oh yes, I need this. I had to manually plug this in. Oh, what's this? Oh, I got another message. What's this? Whoa, what did I do now? Okay, never mind. I thought I was in trouble. Alright, let's see. Just looking here real quick, guys. Just want to make sure that I got everything in place. I don't want that. Oops. Whoops. Alright, sorry about that, guys. I just want to make sure that's all good to go. Okay, looks good, looks good. Just wait for this. There we go. Alright, so we're going to start with this one right here. Okay, so actually we're not going to start with this build. I'm going to switch. Whoops. Switch to this one. So I'll give you a little overview of this. I've been working on this. This is a pretty good build. It's pretty solid. Not your typical way of running this, but as you already know, I like to do weird shit and see how I can get it to work good. And I usually can. And I did successfully make this one work good. System corruption. Love this gear set. I really wish they would come and like tweak it up a little bit more. It's already good. It doesn't really need too much. I have a suggestion with this particular gear set. So let me show you what it does first of all. So when you wear this gear set, for 2 pieces you get 15% armor on kill. 3 pieces gives you 40% disrupt resistance, 40% pulse resistance. And I have an idea for a third ability on the 3-piece. I think the 3-piece should have actually 3 things on it. So disrupt, pulse, and I also think it should have a way to get around hazard. So there should be some sort of 40% anti-hazard mods. So basically, if somebody's running 100% hazard and I have a 40% anti-hazard mod on, that means my shit's going to ignore 40% of his hazard, which is still going to allow me to do this. I've been thinking about this for a long time, and this makes sense. If we had, they don't have to be like obviously if you have the gear set, you could have a really good status effect build, right? Because you could literally, if they had mods, 10% mods, you could literally put to counter the way that people would try to run this, because they would try to roll it as well. So don't make it rollable, just make mods for it. So you make 10% anti-hazard mods, which is basically ignoring all hazard by 10% for a mod, right? So system corruption would be the only build that has this built into it, 40%. And I say 40% because when people run 100% hazard protection, it's bullshit. And this is how you would get around it. And the reason why I say this is because if you're going to put status effects in the game, then you got to make it fucking viable. You got to make it viable. This is horseshit when people run 100% hazard protection. It just makes status effect builds useless. So that's why I say they should put 40% on system corruption, because system corruption sounds like the kind of build that would do that. Right? System corruption, it sounds cool. It sounds like a hacking build. So why not give it a mod that's built right into it, 40% anti-hazard? I think it would be great, because then you could actually have a status effect build that's viable. You know, people aren't going to hide behind 100% hazard anymore. They're going to have to use their brain, right? They're going to have to suck it up like a good little buttercup, right? Because it's okay if they do like 11 million damage, right, with their guns, but God forbid I burn their ass, right? That's what I'm saying. So, yeah. So I wasn't finished with the other. So you would make only 3 spots would have the mods like normal, and they'd be 10%. So you could potentially, with system corruption, you could potentially run 70% anti. You can actually go over 100% hazard on some things. So you could have 70% anti-hazard, which would only leave them with 30% protection, which in my opinion is great. Now keep in mind, like everybody knows about hazard, right? So those anti-hazard protection mods would not protect you, or would not negate this. These 2 things right here, they're not covered under hazard protection. So therefore the anti-hazard protection mods would not be able to touch this if you started pumping this up. Right? I know it's too much work for them. It's a really good idea. I think it's a really good idea, because then it would make status effect builds viable again. Because as it stands right now, you could probably catch somebody with fire and bleed, but I mean, I guarantee you, if you're playing PvP, that is, I guarantee you they're going to come out with a hazard build the minute you hit them once. They're going to come back with a hazard build. Which leads me to part 2. if they didn't implement this idea, then you go strictly skill damage, because hazard protection does not protect them from skill damage at all. So there's a way around hazard, but there needs to be a way around hazard when you're a stats effect build, so that you can actually use them, because they shouldn't be in the game if you can't use them. If somebody just runs and goes, hey, guess what, I'm going to go throw my hazard build on, and guess what, I won't be able to bleed anymore and burn and all that nice stuff. I'll just be able to do whatever I want, basically. And I disagree with that. I think if you're going to have something in the game, it needs to be able to be used too. You need to have a way for people to get around shit. And with a gear set name like System Corruption, it sounds perfect for that. Now, the other thing I was going to say is, on the map, on this map here, on these 3 dark zones, if we could do this, targeted loot, okay, a long time ago, and I'm going to say a long time ago because it was a long time ago, once upon a time in these 3 dark zones, one of these dark zones would have a symbol that would have System Corruption on it. And they used to do it all the time. Every time the dark zone would have, one of these dark zones would have that System Corruption symbol always. You could always go and get it, and it would drop like pretty decently. Now that they fixed the invisibility glitch and they fixed the other bullshit in the game, they fixed 2 things actually. This is great. I don't give a shit what people say this game is dead. It's not dead. If they are fixing stuff like that, that's major, in my opinion. That's major that they fix those 2 big bugs. So no more invisibility glitch. No more, what was the other one? Foundry shit, where they could heal like crazy. I'm glad they fixed those 2 things. Now, probably could go into the DZ again. Unless there's something else I don't know about as far as damage goes or some shit. I'm sure there is. But anyways, back to what I was saying. So these dark zones used to always have System Corruption in it. Like, it would be actually targeted. One of those would always be targeted. It would rotate, just like, you know, just like the invaded thing does. So it was great, and it would drop good. Getting it out was hard because everybody wanted it, right? When it was actually in the dark zone, and you actually saw the symbol in the dark zone was busy. The dark zone was busy. So you didn't want to go in there by yourself. Otherwise, you'd probably come out like a little bitch, because you wouldn't get anything out. Because I'm telling you right now, 4-man teams would literally wait to see those things light up, like to extract, and they'd be right on their way to get there immediately. And unless you had a 4-man team, you were not getting out of there with System Corruption. I don't mind. I don't mind if they keep it that way. I don't mind if they keep the gear set out of the loot pool and you have to actually go in the DZ, but you got to make it viable. You got to put it back in the DZ so I can farm it. Like, I've had a couple pieces drop, but it took forever. That's what I'm saying. They need to put the rotation back in there so that System Corruption rotates between the 3 dark zones always. Always. Not just sometimes, always. One of those dark zones should always have System Corruption symbol as targeted loot. If they put that back in the game, I'd be constantly in the dark zone. Because I have so many ideas with this gear set. I'm already running one of them. So many more ideas with this gear set, it's not even funny. I can think of so many different things. And now that I've shown people what it can actually do, because it can do more than what you think it can do, right? Because you get, when you have bonus armor, it gives you weapon damage, 20%. It gives you bonus armor and weapon damage. But what a lot of people don't understand about System Corruption is it does a third thing. And the third thing it does is if I set you on fire and I make you bleed and whatever, and the Vile Mask is on you at the same time, if I hit Hack Step Protocol, which gives me the bonus armor, you're going to bleed harder, you're going to burn harder, and the Vile Mask is going to hit harder, even if it's already on you. It doesn't matter. For 10 seconds, it's going to make everything hurt harder. It's going to hurt a lot more. That's one thing that a lot of people didn't know about System Corruption. So, if you could get this right, and this was my idea. Right now, I've only got a couple pieces right now, but I'm running a Contractor's Glove as a yellow. I know that sounds weird, but trust me, it works great with System Corruption. when it's yellow, especially if I'm running yellow system corruption mostly. And I got status effects on shit. So when I hit a bleed, it's going to get increased by, it depends on what it is. Like if I use the pesty, which I normally do, I don't have it on me right now, I'm going to go get it. I want to show you something with the pestilence. This is crazy. System corruption makes this all possible. Where is it? Right here. Okay. So let me just show you real quick on the range, real quick. Trust me, these numbers that you see on the range will be the same as you hit somebody with. I've already tested this shit in the dark zone, and it works great. Minus the fact that people were cheating when I was trying it. But now that's fixed, so it shouldn't be too bad now. Unless they've found a different way to do it, but... So just 10%, okay. So let me hit this target, and I'll show you what I mean. Let me just stack them out real quick. Okay, what's he bleeding for? 410, 410, 410, right? 410, 410. Now let me hit a Hextech Protocol. 492, 492, 492. Boom! So, and it works the same thing with bleed, okay? It's only 10 seconds, but that's 10 seconds. I'm wearing the chest piece, so it's reduced, so I can keep doing it. Every 15 seconds, I can keep activating that Hextech Protocol, which is not a big deal. When you really needed it, it seems to be available when you really need it. So, I just got an 82,000 boost in damage when it was bleeding that guy. When it was bleeding that target. While it was bleeding him, I was able to make it do more damage. The tick went up because I activated Hextech Protocol, and that's one of the things that I don't think people understand about it. And it works, like I said, it works with the Vile Mask. It makes the Vile Mask stronger, especially when you activate it. And it makes the your bleed, fire, and all that nice stuff as well. Anything that makes you hurt. Now shock, I don't know what it does for shock. I've never tried to shock somebody with it, so I don't know. I just know that status effects in general, like bleed and burn. And poison as well. So if you're using the shotgun, the Scorpio, when you first hit somebody, you make them like they're poison. When you first hit them, the poison hits them, right? But if you hit Hextech Protocol as their poison is bleeding them for a couple seconds, it'll increase the damage on that too as well. It's anything that makes them hurt. Chem Launcher, Oxidizer, same thing. It'll make it do more damage as well. Any skills you can think of, it will do as well. So if you're using turrets, whatever, doesn't matter what you're using. Does it matter? Yes. I went into the DZ with this build, and I was fighting this guy with the Pestilence, and I full stacked his ass. I was able to full stack his ass. He was trying to run away from me, and I activated Hextech Protocol while the stacks were going on him, and he fucking died really fast. Because when I activated the Hextech Protocol, I activated my damage, which activated on what was going on with him right now, right? So 410 turned into 492 per second instead of 410, the ticks. So it increases greatly. Now I was testing this theory with this. I can't remember which way it was. Let me try and see if I can do it again. I was able to figure out how to get Hextech Protocol to do more damage. Oh yeah, sorry. No, I did. So before when I was running this build, I wasn't running the backpack because like 50% bonus armor was great. But what I didn't realize is when I put this backpack on, it greatly increased my bleed, the ticks on the Pestilence, and it greatly increased bleed in general and fire. Like when it's burning, when they're on fire and shit, it greatly increased that. So I was like, okay, the backpack makes a big difference. It gives you 100% bonus armor when you wear the backpack, but it also, for some reason, makes your skills do more damage as well. Like way more than if you didn't have it on. So if you wore like, I don't know, just like the contractor's gloves. That's why I rolled the contractor's gloves into a yellow. If I take those off, I wouldn't have got an 82,000 K boost on my damage. Sorry, my ticks on my pestilence if I didn't have that on. If I take either one of those things off and change them around anywhere else, it messes everything up. Now I know I'm running yellow, so most people would say, "Oh, you should just use a capacitor." I mean, yeah, but it's not. Yeah, it doesn't. I don't know. Again, it just doesn't make sense with the way I'm running this, and it also fucks things up too because I've tried it that way. I've already tried it that way, so I already know. You can use this any way you want. I can use it with a Scorpio too and be nasty. I can use it with a Revenus if I wanted to and be nasty. Doesn't matter which way I use it. I can use that and be nasty. Here's another secret too. I have this gun right here. This is a very, very accurate gun. This gun just so happens to come with, where did I put it? I put it on here. Perpetuation. Now, if you hit somebody in the head when you have this gun, it will grant you 50% stats effect damage and duration. So whatever your durations are, they're going to be greatly increased. With this build, because I'm running system corruption, my bleed duration is 9.1 seconds, and my fire is 20.8, right? But I could fix that. But then I'd lose the skill tier, right, if I did. So I just want to show you something. So this is this one. Now if I go over to this guy right here, this is my ongoing directive build. Let me just get rid of this for a second because I had this on there for some reason. I don't know why. I was trying something else. Where did I put it? Oh, where did I put that piece? Alright. So with this build, this is my ongoing directive. It's yellow. Status effects max. Status effects max. Status effects max. Status effects maxed. Status effects maxed. And status effects maxed. So I've got maximum status effects, plus I get 15% from having 2 pieces and I have 4 pieces. So anyways, so remember the bleed that you just saw on my system corruption build that was yellow? It was like 9.1. Check out the bleed on this build. It's 15.8. Okay, so with this build I'm running firewall, and I'll show you why. So the bleed, any bleed that I have is going to be 15.8 seconds. It's going to be consistently across the board no matter what. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this because a lot of people don't know how to use this, but I'm going to use this. Check out the burn duration on my Airburst Secret Mine. It's 31.2 seconds with this build. 31.2. Remember my other build was only 20.8. That's fucking ridiculous. 31 seconds. And the weapon I'm running is this one right here. I have perfect perpetuation on this. So if I get a headshot, I will get 50% status effect damage and duration, right? Now, a lot of people, when they make this ongoing directive build, they always, usually avoid the backpack, right? They go for the chest piece, which is good. I'm not saying it's bad. I guess it's good. But I'd rather have the backpack, because I'll show you why. It has Trauma Specialist on the backpack. Increases the duration of your bleed stats effects by 50% and all bleed damage done by 100%. So why the hell would you not want to use that? And then, now think about what that says. And then think about this gun I just showed you. The talent. So 50% duration and 100% bleed damage on the backpack. And then this gives you 50% more damage and 50% more duration. So you have 100% duration and 150% damage on, well, it's 50% status effect damage, but if you already add it to the 100% bleed damage, you got 150% bleed damage. And then 50% of the other stuff, right? Alright. So this is pretty nasty. And then I'm using Perfect Status with damage to armor on it. So when things are bleeding, you're not going to want to bleed. And yes, I put that on as a joke. I know you're looking at that, and you're looking at the scope on my machine gun, right? Yeah, I did that as a joke. And then I've got the Vile Mask, right? So when I activate any of these things, I'm also getting that on top of that. And the reason why I'm running Firewall is not because I want the shield. Definitely not because I want the shield. It's because that's going to give me 20% burn duration. So I'm going to need a boost. That's why my fire thing here is at 31.2. If I go ahead and I put anything else on, if I go and put Technician on, because somebody was probably going to say that, my burn duration goes down to 28 seconds. So I lose 3.2 seconds, and that's great. That's too much. So back to this, and back up to 31.2. Now I could very well run the Memento backpack, but here's the thing: it's a good backpack, and I'm not going to say anything bad about it. But I'm going to say this: if I ran the Memento backpack, because I've tried this, first of all, I lose the Vile Mask, so I lose that extra bleed. And secondly, the Memento backpack, you have to maintain those stacks, because if you don't maintain those stacks, then the ongoing directive backpack is way better, because it's consistent. So that's why I don't run it. I could, but why? Why? It's not consistent. If I don't keep getting stacks, then your stuff goes like over time as your Memento backpack is like the thing is cooling down. Even when you're at max stacks, as it's cooling down, your damage starts to go down too, and everything else goes down as well. Your haste, all that stuff, all goes down. You have to maintain it, and it's hard to maintain if you're not fighting anything. You're not maintaining it, right? So as much as I love it, I also like consistency too. And I can get way more consistency out of this backpack, out of this gear set backpack than I could. And I gotta put some gear mods on here. I haven't done that yet. Yeah. I got 99 caches I haven't even opened. It says 99 plus. Jesus, I'll be here all day trying to open all that shit. That's how much I care about cosmetics in the game. Seriously. That's how much I care about cosmetics in the game. 99 plus Imperial caches. Yeah, exactly. Again, you can switch out this stuff. You don't have to use this perfect status. You could put another weapon on if you want. You could put a FAMAS on with status. You can put whatever you want. A lot of people bitch about this gun. I like it. I think it's pretty good. Minus the sniper scope I put on it as a joke. Mind you, I can use it very well actually with this gun. It's funny actually. So by using Firewall with this build, I get the best of both worlds. I get a 15.8 second bleed duration, and I get a 31.2 second burn duration. That's great. I'm set. Plus the Vile Mask is 10 seconds. What am I using as a mod here? Armor on kill. And my burn is crazy because if I hit anybody with that, everybody bitches about the airburst Seeker Mine because it's so hard to use. But it's really not that bad. Once you get used to using it, you just have to practice with it. Because you can cancel it. If it's almost near a target and you double tap your button, you can stop it from doing whatever it's about to do. You can send it somewhere else. Now the beautiful thing about that is it will tell the other person that there is a airburst Seeker Mine coming in. But it's not gonna, like, unlike the, when people use the mortar turret, for example. When the mortar's coming in, it will warn you that this is where it's gonna hit. And if you're in that circle, well, you're probably gonna die. But with the airburst Seeker Mine circle, it shows me where it's gonna hit. But they don't see that. They don't get to see that. And they shouldn't actually get to see any of it, because that would make it better if they didn't tell you, like if it didn't tell you where it was going to hit. For example, like the mortar turret having the circle there and showing you where it's going to hit. What if it didn't? Do you know how much harder it would be if it didn't tell you where it was going? Now the beautiful part about this is this build is more like um, Predator's Mark, because it really is, right? Because as soon as something gets a status effect on it, if I shoot it, it will get marked, and if it dies, not only do I get hollow point ammo, but my teammates get a portion of that ammo too. So it's not just me. So that's the second one I've been working on. I'm trying to implement this in a different way. I might go with like the chem launcher, because I can still have a really nasty burn even without using this. The reason why I want to do that is because I want to have one ability, like this one for example. I'd like to have it this way. I'd like to have it this way. And then I gotta go in here after this cools down real quick. And I gotta turn this up. So burn strength is on. Yeah, and ammo plus 1 ammo. Okay. Because I'm gonna show you why. It makes this thing way more nastier if I do it this way. As much as I love the Airburst Secret Mine, it has the longest burn and the strongest burn. You can still make this one nasty too. It still gets some perks too. So I want to show you what I'm using. I'm using a China Light piece, and it has explosive delivery on it. And you know how explosive that is. Watch this. Okay. It's explosive. Yeah, night night. And they're dead. Yeah, see ya. Those are fully armored yellows. They just got fucked. Anyways. So I can still make the burn pretty good, regardless. I can't remember what it is. It says it's 13 seconds, but I don't know. It seems to burn a little bit longer than 13 seconds in my opinion. I counted it one day. I think it was closer to 15-second burn. It's not quite as long as my other one, but it's got a longer range. So if somebody's hiding way over there, for example, like behind that guy, like that rock over there, way over there, I can hit him from here with that. I have more range to do that. Whereas if I use the Airburst Secret Mine, I send it towards him. It does warn him that there's one coming in, so he's not going to stand here and wait for it. He's going to move out of the way. He's going to go like here, right? He's going to try to get out of its radius, because he's going to assume that it's coming right here, even though he can't see it's coming. That's the problem I don't like about the Airburst Secret Mine, is it tells them that it's coming. It doesn't tell them where, it just tells them there's one coming. It'll probably say like Rogue Airburst Secret Mine incoming or whatever, something like that. I can't remember what it is. So, but with the mortar turret, it actually warns you on the ground. When they shoot the mortar, you see the red circle. You get to hell out of the way, and you get out of the way quick. Because if you're playing Conflict and that red circle is there and it hits you, ooh, you're dead. Because 99.9% of people that are in Conflict that are using the mortar turret are usually running glass cannon. So it's not going to matter if you run a hazard build or not, because if he hits the ground that you're standing on with that mortar turret, he's running glass cannon, so he's getting extra damage on top of that. And if he's running a chest piece like I do, which is a China Light. This is not the one I'm using right now. I'm using explosive delivery on a China Light. But my other China Light has glass cannon on it, which is right here. I have glass cannon on a China Light piece as well. So I rotate between the two. I like explosive delivery because if I throw a secret mine at somebody, there's going to be a double explosion. And the explosion is equivalent to this, right? So that's roughly how much damage my explosive delivery is going to do. 1.6 million. That's the initial hit. The secondary hit is the actual secret mine exploding, which is going to do about another 4 million, if not more. Add the two together and it's quite a bit of damage. Most people don't survive it, trust me. I've had a couple people survive it, but it's very rare. Now, people that are running, people that like to run a hazard build, they think they're safe from my secret mine when I throw it at them when I use explosive delivery, but they're not. Because as you know, I'm running a China light piece with glass cannon, so guess what's going to happen? Guess what happens when you run a hazard build? Most people don't realize this, but these two stats right here, pulse and explosive resistance, they are not a part of hazard protection. So, I've got 10% explosive resistance. I do too as well, because I didn't put any on. Most people don't, they don't even bother with this stat, right? They're worried about this. All this stuff. That's what they're worried about. So they run a 100% hazard protection right there. When I see a hazard build, I have two options. If I want to be a dick, I can go Heartbreaker and kill them, because their pulse resistance is only 50% usually. Or I can go explosive damage. Explosive glass. And they're dead. Right? Now, people there are a lot of people that used to be smart about this, used to realize that. And not so much anymore. I've killed many people with the explosive damage build. Now, there's a catch to this build. If I put too much if I put too much explosive damage there, it I kind of see some diminishing returns there. So you don't really need much. That's why I'm using firewall with that piece, because 15% is all you really need. Because I've got I got other things too, right? I mean, you've already seen my glass cannon build with hardwired. That's friggin' insane. Like, I can go into conflict with that build and I'll kill anybody. It doesn't matter what they have on. So unless they get on, like, unless they are like right on top of me constantly, they're probably gonna die when I run the hardwired version with glass cannon, because I run glass cannon on a China light piece with hardwired as well, or I use explosive damage or explosive delivery with hardwired on a China light piece again. Right, so both are chess pieces, obviously. But the one that I've been playing around with more than anything is this guy right here, the system corruption, because I found it to work in almost everything I've done. I'm just in the process right now of just kind of tweaking it to the way I want to have it. Like, and the tweaking that I've been doing here is just swapping out pieces and seeing how this works and then putting it back. And if it doesn't work, then I swap it back and put that back. Then I try another piece and swap it out and see if it works. I'm not getting rid of the chest piece and I'm not getting rid of the backpack, because the chest piece reduces the time for me to use hack step protocol. And let's be honest here, they need to fix this. So it's a 20-second cooldown and all they do is reduce it by 5. I think it should be just like hardwired. If you're running that chest piece, because you're sacrificing so much, then it should be 10 seconds. And the three piece should they should either do this. Number one, they add another attribute to the three pieces. So there's 3 attributes in the 3 pieces. And I think I said this earlier, but for those that are new, so you get disrupt resistance, you get pulse resistance, and I was thinking they need to add a third thing to this called anti-hazard mods, which would basically be a way to get around people's hazard protection, as long as you had the mods on, right? You'd get a certain percentage depending on what it is. So how you would do this to balance this is the only way you could balance it really. If you let people roll it onto their gear, then they're just going to roll it on every single piece, right? And then they're going to be fucking immune to everything. Or sorry, they're not going to be immune. They're going to be able to go get around anybody that has 100%. So there's got to be a middle ground here. So you don't even have to have mods. You could just add it to the 3-piece set or the 4-piece, or be a part of the 4-piece, where you have like 40% anti-hazard. So basically what it's going to do is it's going to ignore 40% of somebody's hazard protection. So if they have 100%, then as long as you're wearing your 4 pieces, your stuff's going to ignore 40% of their hazard. So you're still going to be able to hit them basically. So, and the reason why I say that is because if somebody's running 100% hazard protection, you cannot set them on fire. You cannot bleed them. You cannot do any of that shit. So what is the point of having a status effect in the game if people can just run 100%? So this would play with that. This would stop that shit. People would actually be like, "Oh, I'm getting killed now." Yeah, exactly, because now there's a build that's viable. System corruption is the perfect gear set to do this with. Because it already gets disrupt and pulse, right? So add another 40%. But add a 40% anti-hazard mod in there. But don't let anybody roll it on their gear, because like I said, if you let people roll it on their gear, then they're going to have, like, there's going to be no point in having hazard protection, right? Because then they would just, don't make mods, no mods, it would be exclusive to this gear set. That particular thing that I just talked about would be exclusive to the gear set. The 40% anti-hazard. And I'm telling you right now, this gear set would get a fucking fresh breath. Boom. People would want this gear set a lot, and they don't understand how this gear set is amazing. It's very, very underrated. I've killed so many people. I've killed thousands of fucking people with this gear set. And I'm not even kidding, because I've played this since day one. I've killed thousands of people with system corruption. Because I know how it works. It's not just about bonus armor. It's not just about weapon damage. The third thing it does is it also makes your fucking skills nasty as well. People don't realize what this thing can do. If I hit you with the bleed and it's doing 50,000 per second, and I activate Hackstep Protocol, I can increase that to 60 or 70,000 a second. Right? Because Hackstep Protocol does that. It also makes your vial tick higher as well. It also makes your burn tick higher as well. It's only 10 seconds, but that's 10 seconds more you can kill somebody faster. So people need to realize that system corruption is 3 things. Not just 2. 3. And you can activate those every 15 seconds if you're running the chest piece. Your damage gets increased to a maximum, because if you're running the backpack, you get 100% bonus armor, which increases your, so this is one thing that I learned about Hackstep Protocol. So if I wasn't wearing the backpack, for example, let's say I was running a piece here, and I wasn't running this. Well, when I activate Hackstep Protocol, like for example, when I use the Pestilence, here's a good example. When I run the Pestilence, with this build, I usually get about 410,000 per second as a tick. If I'm running the backpack and I activate Hackstep Protocol while that 410 is ticking, I can bring it up to 492 without even firing a shot. I can bring it up to 492,000 for 10 seconds. Or till it runs out, whatever. That's major. That's an 82,000 per second increase in damage. If I didn't have that backpack on, though, I would still bump it up, but it wouldn't be anywhere near 82,000. It'd probably be like 30,000 instead of 82. So again, that doesn't seem like much, but it is major. I think that's what it was. I think it was like 435 when I wasn't wearing it per second instead of 410. Then when I put the backpack on, it went up to 492 instead of 435, right? So the backpack plays a major role if you want to get the maximum amount of damage. If you bleed somebody and you want to increase the bleed per second without shooting at them, because that's what I mean. That's Hackstep protocol. Literally, when they're bleeding and burning, can make them die faster because it can increase the damage per second. It's like firing a javelin missile at a tank and walking away. All you have to do is just press the button and it's dead. So if you didn't know that about system corruption, you do now. I mean, you look at the gear set, the first thing you see when you do this is you're like, okay, armor on kill, 40% disrupt, 40% pulse. Armor kits are replaced with infinite use ability on 20-second cooldown, repairs 20% of your armor, grants you 50% bonus armor, and you're like, okay. And it hides your nameplate for 5 seconds as well. So you don't have to use a fucking, what do you call it, a decoy. It does the same thing. Increases weapon damage by 1% per 5% bonus gained up to 20%. So if you're running the chest piece and you're not running the backpack, you're not going to get the full damage of 20%. And that's where the backpack comes in. It gives you 100% bonus armor, which allows you to get 20% weapon damage. So this is the way I'm running it now. I've got, this is contractor's gloves. I got them rolled to yellow. Status effects on them. And then I think I got status effects on that as well. Status effects there. And then I just need to put on, actually no, let me see what my thing is right now. I have 89.7% disrupt resistance. Which, you know, if somebody does disrupt me, because they probably will, because I've got 89.7, it's going to be gone real quick. Like, it's going to be like 1 second long. That's it. Whereas if I didn't have it, it would be like 8 seconds or something like that. Now, I would love to get some system corruption without being in the dark zone. I wish they'd fix it. I wish they'd fix it so you don't have to... You either have to go in the dark zone and it's targeted like it used to be, because that's, like I said, one of those 3 dark zones always had system corruption targeted. Always. It just rotated between each one. It was kind of like the invaded thing, right? How the invaded goes through the... Like, it goes through each dark zone. Each dark zone gets invaded. System corruption was like that, too. Each one of those dark zones, it would rotate between one of them, and then it would be there. And when it was there, like I said, the dark zone was busy when system corruption was actually being. You had targeted loot for system corruption in the dark zones. Like one of the dark zones, it was busy, always, because people wanted it, right? Now, if you get a legacy cache, which is hard to get, you don't really see them that much. That's how I've gotten a couple new pieces. What's this shit? Point man. Okay. I've got a lot of stuff. Look at it. I have 3,604. I can afford anything here. And then some. Now, I don't trust a lot of people. Now is a little bit different because the invisibility glitch has been fixed and the other one has been fixed as well. Invisibility glitch and the foundry set has been also fixed as well. So there's no more. And so you know what the problem was with the foundry set is what was happening was people were wearing Foundry, and then what they were doing is they were changing their server instance. They would keep changing different server instances, and somehow it was stacking things. It was stacking their ability, so they were able to heal themselves like crazy fast. So they fixed that problem. And then people were doing invisibility glitches with the DZ door. It had something to do with the DZ door. People would glitch through it or something. It's kind of like deja vu, actually. If you guys remember the first division, people used to glitch into the buildings with their shields. I don't know if anybody remembers that, but it used to be really annoying in the DZ because people would do it in the DZ and they would basically, it's the same thing as cheating. Well, it is cheating. You're not supposed to be in those buildings, right? I'm talking about the buildings you couldn't actually get into. They were using their shields and they were basically just warping through the walls. I killed a couple of people that did that because they didn't think I could get them when they were inside the building, but they forgot about a couple of things. So I killed them. A couple of people rage quit. It sent me some really nasty messages. I mean, I don't know why, because I mean, you're trying to fucking cheat and kill me, and I killed you and you're bitching at me. Like, I'm sorry, I know you can't fix stupid, and apparently you can't quarantine it either. It's a true story, trust me. You can't fix stupid and you can't quarantine it either, so don't even try. I've tried, trust me. So yeah, people would do that. I'm not sure if it was the same thing here, but all I know is I heard that it was something to do with the DZ doors. But anyways, Ubisoft fixed it. So 2 major things got fixed. So I think that they may have delayed things. I know it sounds like a broken record, but I'm gonna stick it out. I believe that they're trying to make good on this game, even though it's taking them longer than they should. But I do understand their team is way smaller than it used to be. Like, you're going from like a lot of people to like a small few amount of people. I mean, that can hinder a lot of things. I know there's a particular game that they're trying to bring back to life that I used to play all the time, and there's only 2 people working on it. And it's been 4 years. Now, this isn't the same case here. They've got a bigger team than that. But just the point is they've been dedicated on this game that they're trying to bring back for 4 years. And they're still going. They've done a lot of stuff, too. Because the particular game that I'm talking about, they're trying to get the missions and stuff to work again, and the thing with this game was it had to be a live instance, right? So the server controlled all this stuff, the way the coding was working, so that's what they had to figure out. They had to figure out how the coding worked, because they couldn't mimic the same thing. They couldn't just turn the game back on and everything worked the same as it used to. You had to know what you were doing. You had to know how, the server controlled everything. Oh, they've almost got it now, but 4 years in the making. And if you're not sure what game I'm talking about, it's The Matrix Online. That game, I used to be addicted to that game. It was so great. And then Sony bought it off of Warner Brothers, and guess what Sony did? This is what made me hate Sony for the longest time. Because of what they did. They took over this game. They took over The Matrix Online. The first thing they do is they're like, we got to revamp the combat. The combat was great before they revamped it. So then they revamped the combat. I didn't like it, but I dealt with it. I didn't like it. And then I think it was like 2 years later, if that, just out of the blue, out of nowhere, they decided, guess what, guys? We're going to pull the plug on this game. Okay. And they went from a team of like a lot of people, probably about 50, 60 people, to like 1 person. At the end, only 1 person was running the game. He was doing all the live events by himself. He was doing everything himself. 1 person. That's it. So at that point, you knew the game was going to die. As soon as we found out that only 1 person was working on it, we're like, yeah, this game's dead. This game does not have 1 person working on it. I know people seem to think that, but it's not. It's not a huge team, but it's not small either. It's not that small. It's much smaller than it used to be, but there's enough people on here to keep it going. But you got to remember too, these guys are new. This team that he's got together now, these guys don't have any idea what's going on. They just fixed a major bug. Two major bugs, actually, sorry. That the other team created, basically. But they had to learn the code. I gotta start a party if I'm gonna do that. Because I'm not listening to these whiners in here. Because trust me, there'd be a lot. There, that's better. Yeah. So you got a team that's working on this game now that they're learning how this stuff works, right? They're learning how this coding works for this game. Whereas the other team obviously knew how it worked. But they got diverted to different projects. Now here's the kicker. One of those projects that was major got canceled. I heard about this recently. I think it was the Avatar one that got canceled. So I'm very curious to see how that's working out. If it got canceled, then where's that team going in? Why are they not back in the Division 2? That's going to work out for Microsoft.